elaborate. He's a huge inspiration to a lot of animators, character designers, and illustrators in general, just because of his great skill and talent, and just a great artist. And this is a drawing that he did, probably one of the most memorable drawings from, or one of the most memorable poses that I have from watching The Jungle Book. He also famously worked on Shere Khan, which is a beautifully, probably the best animated animal that I've ever seen. There's just certain things that he did that were just really epic. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And I have some great reference images. These are original images of his drawings. And they are from Live Lily on the blogspot that I gave you guys last time, and also from Pinterest. So I have some other references that are from Pinterest. But if you've never been to livelily.blogspot.com, it's a great website, and they have tons of resources for just looking at different stills, like model sheets. They'll have pencil tests. It's a great website, and I was referred to it by one of my mentors, which is Steven Silver, who was a mentor of mine a few years ago. And I just think that it's really a great place to look if you want to find some original drawings from some really awesome films. So we're going to start with this first pose, and we're going to do, let's do 5-minute pose. And I'm going to put on my timer. We're going to do 5 of 5-minute poses, and we'll do 3 10-minute poses, because I'm realizing more and more I really need to do some longer poses just so I have some more finished work. I have tons and tons of really loose drawings. I would like to actually, build up a little bit more and then really more finished drawings, even though these are reference drawings, and that's okay. But I'm gonna get a little bit more, practice for both of us. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer for 5 minutes. So let's go. And I'm gonna actually change my brush. Oh no, I think I'll keep this brush for now. Let's see. On the wrong layer. So I'm just gonna start I usually work with like the face a little bit. Feel for it. I haven't drawn any of these on my own time before, so this is like I'm doing it for the first time fresh with you. So hopefully it turns out all right. Hopefully I do this drawing somewhat justice at least. Obviously I don't expect them to look exactly like his, but hopefully I can at least do them some justice. I'm going to try and build up arms. Her eyes are really far apart. And actually the reason why we're doing this is to notice what it is about their drawings that's making them, so timeless and so influential to so many artists. So I don't recommend always drawing from other artists. You want to do your own thing and reference a lot from life more than anything. But at the same time, it's good to draw some other people's work, especially artists that you really admire, to see what it is about their work that's really so captivating and so awesome. And you can slowly start to not steal their style. You don't want to take someone else's style and make it your own, but you do want to learn from them and kind of get a little bit of what their technique was and make it special, because that's the only way you can improve on your own work too. Just slowly start to build. And the way he did her body was, it's really simple. So simple shapes here. Start to build her hair a little bit. There's like this big area too up here. I think that's really like charming the way that he did the hair. How far out those ponytails come, you can really far out. Okay, I made it come out a little bit too far, but I want to clean it up just a little bit if I can. Maybe I'll go in with the long. I'm trying to make this a little bit smaller. He really did something really nice with the eyes. I really like the eyes a lot. And then, you know, and even though she's like, it's really kind of weird because she's so young, obviously. Like, obviously, you know, a young child has that age that she should really be flirting with boys, but she really flirts with Mowgli in this scene. And they really made her like kind of womanly in a sense with her glance. So even though it's sweet, it's still a little bit creepy. Why they made her look so, you know, a little weird. I don't know what would have drawn Mowgli into the back into the village, but it's kind of odd that it's this little girl. Very, very young little girl. Oh well, what do you do? Still a good drawing. I'm realizing now that I probably made the hair, the bangs come up much higher than I originally was noticing. That's why it's good to draw and then redraw and then redraw because you never know what you miss at first. Very small chin, almost not even there at all. Some of the little details that I didn't put in right away, like her earrings there, and I'm seeing her neck is tilting forward. That's our timer, guys. That's going to be about it for this pose. That was cool. I think I learned a little bit. I like those high up bangs when you did that. Okay, so we can always come back to these, but for now we're going to move on to the next pose. Wow, we're already getting into Shere Khan. I didn't realize he was so early on. Oh my goodness. Now I'm nervous. He's like one of the best animated characters that I've ever seen. So it's a little bit intimidating to draw him, but I'll do my best and we'll go ahead. Take my color back to my red. I'm going to go in with your pen to start. And we're going to do another 5-minute pose. Just to kind of get a sense of what's happening. Oops. There we go. No, I might start. I'm wondering if I should start my backgrounds with the blue. I've been doing a lot with red. I'm wondering maybe I should do some. I'm really used to doing something with red. I want to kind of, because his whole body kind of flows together, so I'm wanting to just get these nice curves of his body that seem to kind of be really organic. I really like drawing animals, obviously. If you know me well, even a little bit, if you've been here for a little while, you know I love drawing animals also. So, but it's really flowy, it feels like. I wanted to get that in first. I'm like problem solving as I'm drawing. I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, how exactly is this? I see, like, make changes as you draw. Just draw right over your line. Keep moving it. I love the attitude of Shere Khan. He just has so much confidence. And obviously he's a tiger, so why wouldn't he have confidence? But I just feel like the way that he captured the confidence is really something special. And there's a lot of jaw. A whole lot. I'm just trying to figure out all the shapes that are happening. What are all these shapes? And I wonder who he referenced Shere for, because he has such a personality that he has to be referenced from a person. It's like no way that he's not. I just wonder who that person is or was, that he kind of got his motivation, I guess, or inspired him. It might have been Walt Disney himself, honestly. Not how he was naturally, but from what I'm hearing, from what I'm reading this book. It's called The Illusion of Life, and it tells so much about Walt Disney's life and how he um, impacted the artists at the studios, especially in the early times. And I know this is probably towards the end. This movie came out when in the 50s, I think. But he would act out, and as I'm reading, he would act out a lot of the characters and like really tell a story with his actions to the animators, and they would really have a lot of fun just watching Walt act out some of the scenes. So I don't know how much of this is Walt's acting out or just Milt watching just regular people, maybe even Milt himself. I don't know. And actually begin to listen to myself and start to draw the cleaner line on a different layer, because I always regret it when I don't. I want to take out some of that stuff that I have. But he actually did a lot of drawing, and you can see it if you go yourself to the website that's there on the bottom of the screen, the livelily.blogspot, and look at the concept art and the model sheets for the Jungle Book. There's like so much in there that are Milt Kahl's drawings, and he did a lot of drawings for that movie. That's too high. So I'm trying to keep looking back at the reference and just kind of. And if you're wondering, I'm drawing on a Cintiq. When it comes to Cintiq and Photoshop, I love to use Photoshop for drawing. It's awesome. If you don't have a Cintiq, it's really not a big deal. It took me a long time to get one. They are super expensive sometimes. Sometimes you can find them on Craigslist if you look. Every once in a while, they have them up on Craigslist, so that might be a thing. eBay, I don't know. I haven't used eBay honestly in a long time. I don't trust eBay anymore. Personally, I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't use it. It's just personally, I've just bought them from the wrong people, so I don't go there anymore. Okay, I know I need to listen to the timer. I would like to do this post for longer though, but if we have time or something, and I'll just have to come back to it. Okay, so we got another post. This is a really good one. Love this. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start a timer. We have a few more 5-minute poses, and the last 3 poses I'm actually gonna do for 10 minutes. So I actually have a couple of poses unlike last week. I think they were all 5 minutes last week, but this week I wanted to do a couple of longer poses, and as I'm seeing, I should probably do them all 10-minute poses because it does take a long time to try to figure out the way that someone else draws. So I think probably next week and moving forward, we'll just do 10-minute poses for some of these. Okay, so we have another 5-minute pose right here, and it's Shere again. So let's go ahead and get started. And then get my pencil back. Okay, let's start. Try and figure out where his skull is first. Before I figure out the face, I like to figure out where the skull is actually. Sometimes I might have to move it around or something, depending on how it flows with the body and everything, or change the size, and that's okay. But I do like to at least kind of know where it is. Messing up on kinds of. Let's see. Let's see the shape. Huge jaw. I should probably just do the whole body first before I even try to get into his head exactly. So right now I'm trying to figure out the neck and his shoulders here. And I love the way that he actually captured the body style of a tiger, because if you ever watch tiger and cats in general too, you'll notice this a lot, but especially tigers, they have this super narrow body. Like their body is like their body is like this kind of a square thing, and like they're big and everything. But this is like their profile is like super slender. They have like this crazy slender. Especially their back, because cats don't have a hip bone, which is, it seems weird, but it helps them to fit into small places, and it helps them to be more flexible and to jump higher and things like that. But they don't actually have a hip bone, which is interesting. But it also gives them this look of this really and that's all cats, even your house cats. We don't have a hip bone. It's weird. Well, I shouldn't say weird, but it's just interesting. I think it's interesting. I don't know if anybody else thinks out. And you know what I realized too? I was listening to this other artist who was an animator at Disney as well, and his name is Aaron Blaze. He has a pretty popular YouTube channel. Um, but he was talking, he starts talking about animals too. He like, just gets into it. And he's like really super interested. And I'm like, wow, I do the same thing. Even when I go to the zoo and I have like the meetup at the zoo every week, I'm like, I love sharing animal facts and like, talking about the animals and different things that they do. And sometimes people will, know different things about animals too, and they'll get into it. But I realize people that draw animals really well are really interested in animals. But people that become good at drawing animals tend to be really interested in animals. And maybe if you do want to get better at animal drawing, probably um, just start watching some. Maybe there's like so many tons of different documentaries about wildlife and tons of books, and obviously places you can go like zoos and such. But people that are interested genuinely in animals tend to be able to draw them a lot better. I don't know if it's just a passion about it, or like maybe you're able to look at them for longer periods of time and actually have that emotion when you're drawing the animal. And it helps so much. It will help you so much in your and I forgot to put this on a new layer, so let me put this on a new layer. But it will help a lot. So if you are interested in animals, but maybe you haven't um, had enough practice drawing them yet, be encouraged, because just having that interest and love in animals will already put you ahead of the game, because I find that to be a common trait with people that draw animals well, or learn to draw animals well, because it is a process, a never-ending process, which I am realizing more and more. Like, oh gosh, I still have so much to learn. So, hold on. It's a really tiny little people. And it's really cool the way that the tooth is so subtle, but it's just like just enough to show you what's going on. Oh man, that's really not enough time. It's not enough time to really get into it like I would like to. This needs to be like a 3 hour thing. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that as some kind of a extra video for anybody who's super interested. Do like a much longer version of this. Because it's so much to like, so much different information to like put together. And this is probably took him like 2 minutes to draw it. In all honesty, it's just it's an animation still, so it probably was really quick to draw. He probably did it super quick, but that's after, you know, referencing and drawing actual tigers for hours and hours and days. You know, they really have to study the animal to be able to draw it over and over again for an animation, especially as well as he did. So good. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next drawing. And we're going to start this pose. This is another 5-minute pose. This is our last 5-minute pose, I think. No, we have one more for this. So we're going to do this pose, and we have one other 5-minute pose, and we'll do our 10-minute poses. But what I was going to say, you can do either one if you wanted to draw the snake or the tiger, or you can do both together. Either way, it's your choice. So let's start. Okay, so I really want to get that kind of posture. I don't want to do that. Kind of a very menacing look. Let's see. And as I'm drawing, I'm just gonna like correct different things that I notice. Taking this off, I'm just gonna like redo my lines, stuff like that. I don't feel like you can ever do that because I do it all the time. I wouldn't be able to draw anything if I couldn't correct my lines as I go. And also something like, it doesn't really matter which phase you're at the Milt Kahl level, or if you're at, you know, this is your first drawing ever. You know, you just do the best that you can, or anywhere in between. You just do the best that you can. And as you continue to practice and continue to notice what it is about people's drawings, which is oftentimes just observing real people in life. As I'm reading that book too, also, Delusion of Life, I'm realizing so many people didn't have hardly any experience before beginning in, especially then. And their work seems to be oftentimes better than what's coming out now. Not to knock what's coming out now, because there are a lot of beautiful things, but you know, we have the reference of these type of movies now. We have, you know, all of the history. So with all of that, you know, of course it's gonna look great. But these guys, you know, they didn't have all of these animated movies to watch, you know, for reference and stuff like that. They didn't. It wasn't there. They were doing it for the first time. You know, animated features just became a thing in the 30s. So it's like, it's just, I don't know why. It's just still so insane to me, I guess. It's just still, I mean, obviously there were other things that inspired them, like paintings and movies and watching vaudeville acts and things like that, that inspired animators of those times. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's all so cool to learn about. And I'm going to try to put his arm at a realistic kind of angle. And I'm going to And that little bulb at the bottom of his finger there, I really think that the artist Don Bluth really took that and ran with it. Like he caught on to like the little things that some of the animators were doing with animals particularly, and he did it really well. If you haven't seen Don Bluth, he did things like All Dogs Go to Heaven and Five Goes West and movies like that, and a really awesome animator who actually worked at Disney and left there to begin his own studios when Disney was not doing so well, like in the late 70s. And yeah, the studio was really not doing great. But Don Bluth decided to make his own studio and took some of the animators with him and really did a good job of creating a lot of animal films. And not all of his were necessarily animal type films, but he really did animals really well. I think a lot of that was from the Milt Kahl type of a style of drawing animals and animal paws really, really well. Really nice way to do it. I'm just going to leave it really loose right there for now. And begin to go in. Oh man, that's it. That's it. So I guess I'm not going to go into detail on this one, but that's what 5 minutes gets you. So let's go to the next one. And this is a scene from Robin Hood, especially. Really had a lot of that. What I was just talking about with the paws, with the globy, like light bulby paws that had those things in the end that just that's the best way I can describe it, those really bulby paws, and it's really charming when they did that. And Milt did it really well. That was kind of that kind of a deal. It's like a hand, but it's a paw, and it has this really cool fat finger ends. I'm not sure if Milt Kahl invented that, but I think it was. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this, and this is going to be our last 5-minute pose of the day. So let's go ahead and begin. And this is from Robin Hood, if you're wondering. It was famously done during the time, actually, when Disney Studios wasn't doing so well. I don't know how well it did in theaters, but I don't know. A lot of their films from the 70s, like this one and Fox and the Hound, didn't do terribly great. As far as I know, I mean, particularly they're not my favorites. They're like some of the only Disney movies that I don't own on DVD. Sorry, but I don't own them, and I don't care for them that much. But the art was still really well done. But you'll notice there too, if you've probably been checking the internet out for a certain time, you probably see, because they were going through such a hard time too, they recycled a lot of the scenes from older movies and things like that, which didn't catch on with the audience right away, but you know, it kind of goes to show. I don't know what year exactly. I'm gonna get his posture in better. I feel like I'm missing his posture. His chest needs to be more. His head needs to be more back. Feeling like he's more hesitant. He's like so close that he's trying to hold on to a little bit of personal space, but I'm trying to get that. Great job at that right now. Let's see. I can recover, which I have faith that I can. If I didn't have faith in my drawing, I would have quit a long time ago. That's all it takes, guys. You just have to have faith in your own drawing. Just continue to have faith, and just it's gonna turn out. And not be afraid of it. You know, don't be afraid of a bad drawing ever. If you're afraid of a bad drawing, you'll never make a good one. just going to focus for now on Robin. Because he's turning out to be more difficult than I presumed in the beginning. Probably my fault for presuming that he wouldn't be that difficult. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a darker. Try and clean this up at least a little bit. Hopefully the pen doesn't fail me. I really like that kind of a nose that they invented there in the studios too. Like puppy dog nose that this character also has. Even though he's a fox. And it makes sense that a fox would be a thief, I guess. Starting to come out a little bit. Not perfectly, but starting to show through a little bit. That's the timer. Jeez. Gonna spend like 2 more seconds on it. As I would do. I just want to figure him out a little bit. Now that he's so hard, I want to figure him out even more now. I'm like, curious, like, what is it now about this drawing that's and not for nothing. If you are going to school for art and you hear about stuff like these animators and stuff that didn't go to school or weren't formally trained, really, in a way, it's only a half truth. Because at the same time, well, Disney himself did bring in, he realizing, more and more that these artists that he has starting a studio really needed, some training. So he actually brought in someone to teach them from a formal artist to teach them. And they would learn right there in the studios from this more formally trained artist. And this guy would really, get into these guys. After work, it would be after studio hours. It would still go ahead and these classes right there in the studio. So it's not that they weren't getting art training. It was just like really on the job training, like super. It's just like as on the job as it gets, right? And plus, now not that animation is not the same. Well, it was not the same as it used to be. But these guys are drawing somewhere in the, I don't even know how many drawings a day. But I mean, the old stick is like 12 feet of animation a week. Which I don't know how many. It's like almost like a second of how much is like 12 feet. I don't know. But anyway, think of it this way. 24 frames a second. Sometimes you'll use 12 frames a second, which would be 12 drawings for every 1 second of animation. And these guys had to pump out work because, they want to keep their jobs, obviously. But I'm just saying, they had a lot of, and besides, being paired up with other artists who've been in the studio longer. So don't feel any ways that you shouldn't go to school or you shouldn't take classes, because I absolutely think that you should. And if you can, if you're not hired directly by a studio right away and getting the on-the-job training or being mentored by someone who's already there while you're getting paid, then it's up to you to really get all the information and all the training and all the mentorship that you can, if you want to be up to that sort of a skill level where you feel whatever level it is that your goals are. So I'm just going to put that out there as a little disclaimer so that no one gets the wrong impression or thinks that maybe they don't need to go to school or maybe they don't need to be trained or anything like that. And so with that being said, we're going to go into our famous Madame Medusa. Okay, and we may just have time to do 2 10-minute poses today, but at least we'll get going. Something. I'm glad that I saved Madame Medusa for last, and also because she is obviously one of his best characters. And even though I'm not a fan of the movie Rescuers, I just thought it was too dowdy and too sad. Kind of just like how I felt like The Fox and the Hound was too sad, and it's one of those movies that I only watch one time. I've seen it more than once, but it's like if you haven't seen it, it's a one-time watch. But the character Madame Medusa is probably the best animated character of all time, to be honest. It doesn't save the movie, unfortunately, but I think the character will go down as probably the best, in my personal opinion. Obviously, not my say is not everyone's say, but personally, I think it's probably the best character ever because it's just so so well done. Anyway, enough of me sharing the praises of Milt Kahl. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my red pencil now. And we'll go ahead and get started with this one. This one's gonna be actually the 10-minute pose. Let's go ahead and start. I knew I should have given myself like some leeway time because there's always that middle time where it's like switching between drawings and stuff like that, and switching between and when I want to take a little bit more time to draw a character, which I always do for some reason, I just always do it. It's not like I need to, it's just something that I just can't help really. I'm already gonna have to delete it because I don't have her energy. And that's one thing to really notice about the character when you're drawing it, and especially when you're doing character designs. Notice their energy and try and put that as much in the drawing as possible. And that's why what made this character so special was the energy that you really put into it. Like you can see her sort of attitude sticking out like a real person. And so I once heard that Ollie Johnston would say, don't animate what the character is doing, animate what the character is thinking. And I say drawing is the same way. You don't want to draw what the character is doing, you want to draw what the character is thinking. And what is she thinking right now? She's thinking, ooh, do you think you've got one over on you, do you? Or something like that. It's kind of like a evil happy. She's happy, but she's happy for all the wrong reasons. It's like a evil joy. So she's thinking, ooh, Is that what's happening? Is it? I'm not doing the accent justice. But the movie is supposed to like take place in like New Orleans or something, somewhere in the swampy area. I think it's New Orleans because she did have a famous. I don't think the pet is famous, but she did have a pet alligator. Mm. That weird knot shape that she's got. Look at kind of a look. And she's got a little snarl right there, you see? A bit of a snarl. She's got a really British look, actually. No offense to anyone British. No, but the kind of because I watch people. I watch the different characteristics and features of people, and the kind of what is it that I'm trying to get at? Got a sort of a characteristic about her that is reminiscent of Great Britain. Not in a good way, not in the best way. Obviously, she would be one of the unattractive, which every culture and every group and every where you go, every nationality, there will be the good looking and the okay looking and the not that great looking, and she is going to be not that. But very well. And also, she's a caricature of a not great looking woman. I wonder who too she was modeled after. I wonder, like, what the story is with her. But I can share one fun fact that I learned is that after what is his name? Thank God, am I struggling to remember the name right now? I think it's Mark Davis, who animated Cruella and did such an amazing job doing Cruella. And Milt was, as I hear, super competitive and super jealous when other animators would do a really, I'm not in a sense jealous, but I would say more competitive and really like, I guess the best word I could say, kind of egoic about his work. He like never wanted to be showed up, and he spent so much time and effort that he wanted everyone to remember his art, you know? Which, you know, we all, I mean, not we all, but we all still notice artists who are like that in our circle. Every once in a while, you'll come across an artist, um, either in your circle or even, you know, as you come across artists, obviously, if you're around anywhere, you'll meet other artists, and every once in a while, you'll come across somebody who's really egotistical about their stuff. I mean, not to say that he wasn't a nice guy. I don't know. I didn't know him, but he had an ego apparently, and really didn't want to be showed up. And so after Cruella broke and Mark Davis got all the attention for animating Cruella, he was like, I am going to beat your Cruella and I'm going to make a, character that's just done 10 times better than yours. Of course, I'm kind of, you know, going off of loosely reverberating what he said. I don't have the exact quote in front of me or anything. But he was like, I am going to beat that Cruella. You are not going to have the best villain character. I'm going to create her. And so that's exactly what he did. He went out, set out to make this epic character. And it's one of the last characters that he animated over there at Disney, which was in the 80s. So that's like a little bit of a fun fact. If you call it that. I'll have to really clean her up a lot. And my second line drawing, I'll have to clean her up a whole lot because we have to get her sort of essence. I don't think it's there right now, but I think I can get it with the second drawing. Oh, for this one. Because I see where I want to clean up and I see where I want to move things around and stuff like that. Obviously, this is a difficult time, but I think I can. Okay, let me try and clean this up. And two. And then, oops. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna go in a smaller one now, and maybe I'll make this black actually. 5 here. My movie just went up. I was watching Brother Bear Part 2, which who would ever thought? I didn't get to see much of it right now because I was drawing the whole time. I got wrong. I'm gonna pick up on some of the little things that I didn't get in there initially. I'm trying to go over with this second line to get. Really kind of, there's so many just layers around her eyes. Just tons of them. I guess it's just to build on her being a villain and not too attractive or whatever. I really leaned into it. I really was trying to get that extra something, which he succeeded, I'd say. Gosh, that's the timer already? Oh man, this one is like the super challenge. Maybe I'll just go ahead and finish this one. I want to have something that's finished. I have to get better at my estimations though, so hopefully I didn't let anyone down with not doing as many poses, but I would like to finish as well as possible at least one. Still really a new sort of a concept for me is this series, and I really think it's helpful. So I hope that it's helpful to you because I think just like learning, even if it's just a little bit, from some of what these artists did, like these really um, amazing artists from really early and up into the 80s with traditional animation, and obviously it lasted, really great traditional animation lasted well into the 90s and early 2000s, but some of these earlier classic artists that only lived up until the 80s. line that just kind of swoops in here. Mm-hmm. I don't know how interesting my talking is. While I'm really into a drawing, I kind of tend to I can't focus on anything else really. I mean a little bit, but not much. Kind of just have to think about what I'm doing. I can listen to people talking stuff like that. I might not be paying a whole lot of attention. I'll have to get like someone to ask me questions or something. Have more to say when I'm doing these longer poses. Short poses is one thing. I can, not really thinking too much about those. It's more of an autopilot type of thing. But for something that's a little bit more drawn out and stuff, it really focused in. Figure out the details and such. It's really interesting how, like, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but how male artists have had their take on, you know, what's so-called homely women. I wonder what it would be like to see women, like a women's perspective of what a really homely looking man is. I would love to see that. I think it would be hilarious. No offense, men. You just have had your time. And I would really like to see um, what if it was a studio of all women doing animation? There were really no female animators at Disney for a long time. There were women at the studios, and their job was really to do the inking, and they had like the delicate hand, and obviously, in the old days, things were different. It was long before the women's rights movement, where women wanted to get out into the workplace more and stuff like that. But this video is definitely not about that topic. But I just think it would be kind of interesting to see what it would be like if it was a totally reversed role where there was just a studio of women and they had to come up with some male villains. That would be really interesting. Super interesting. And now it's starting to come together. I had faith in my little um, red drawing. I knew that even though it didn't look like her first, that I kind of laying down something. I don't know what, but laying down a thing, I guess. I don't really like it. I want to do this over. I kind of feel like this is at an angle that is not represented at the moment. I'm just going to curve it differently. Curve it so it's higher up in the front and slopes down. Much more, even though it's a villain, you still want to make it look like you can look at it. If it's something that, and even though it's an unattractive woman, there's still things that it's still an appealing drawing, and that's the thing. That's why we're drawing him, his drawings, because how do you make a unattractive woman so appealing? That's just how do you do that? So that's why we're drawing right now because we're trying. That's the whole purpose of trying to figure out what it is about these drawings, whether it's a weird-looking woman or tiger or a little girl with flirty eyes. What is it that's making them look so nice? And one of the things that I did learn from one of my old mentors was kind of just making sure that you keep really geometric type of shapes and that you're intentional about that. You don't have just wonky shapes all over the place. So right now I'm going back to my first layer. I'm going to try and create more of these, more of a structured type of a shape than just this kind of all over. And see if I can keep in the line with this shape here that's a little bit more geometric. And then figure out where the hair is going in alignment with this. That makes for a more appealing drawing that people can actually look at and doesn't, doesn't hurt the eye, because that's what happens when drawing is not thought out or things like that. You're not thinking about those things. It just, nobody wants to look at it. So I want to think about that and then go back in my other layer and just start to build on that a little bit. And so for 1 hour, it feels like we don't hardly get that much done. But that place to start. Because there's so obviously so much more about these artists that we can learn in a 1 hour period. So this gives us a good place to begin. But I would recommend on your own time just checking out some of these other artists, some of these artists. And if you don't know which animator you're inspired by, maybe you just know the work. I know I was like that for a long time. Like I knew the work, but I didn't know who the artists were. You can go up to IMDb or Google and search for the films that you really like, where the characters animated, you really like them, and see who the designer was and see who the animator was. Look at who the art director was, stuff like that. Particularly the character designers, if you're interested in character design. And then you'll start to see, oh, okay, this is the artist that did that. And you'll see, too, I think I mentioned this before, you'll see probably a lot of the characters that you really enjoy were designed by the same person. A lot of times it happens. And obviously on a big, especially now in big movies, you'll have one person to finalize it, but a lot of people that, played into creating the look of that character. But one person that really, finalized it. And a lot of times, even now too, you'll see like that maybe one designer worked on a whole movie. I mean, you see that too. I see that sometimes, particularly with 3D animated movies. There will be not as many character designers that work on it. But that's how you can find out who your artists are that you like. Whenever you go to the movie theater, stay behind and watch the credits. And you'll see, and that's what I've been doing lately. Every time I go and watch an animated movie, I'll wait for the credits to come up, and I'll quickly write down the name of the artist in my phone, in my notes section on your iPhone or whatever, a pen and paper. Write them down, and you can look them up later. And that's how you'll really get a lot of reference material if you want to learn different things about people's style. It really helps a lot. And I highly don't recommend trying to create your own style, but learning from other people, learning your style will help you to just be more, what is the word I'm looking for, sophisticated in developing your own artwork. Not developing a style, just developing your work and being more more intentional about the type of work you want to create. Because that's one thing that I noticed I have to consistently remind myself. I have to be intentional about the type of work I want to make. Because when I start making stuff that I'm not really into, I've noticed that it's not fun to enjoy it. And I'll notice, hey, this is not the type of work that I want to do. And I'll make that change and say, hey, I do this. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to do this. Or at least moderately accurate to what a finger or a real finger looks like. At least moderately accurate. You don't have to be perfect, but you want it to not look like a paw or something, right? Okay, and I think that's going to be about it, guys. So let's see what the drawing looks like. There you go. There's the new sketch that I did, and there is the underline with everything in it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this session of learning from the masters, and I had a great time. It was fun. I really got more into it than I ever thought I was going to. I was really captivated by work, and I hope that you guys were too. So it was a lot of fun. Join me next week. I'm kind of still thinking about which artist I want to choose for next week.